Well, we had another comments request here. This person says you might have already made a video about this, but I'm having trouble getting a smooth blend to show an out of focus background. Can you show a good technique for getting a blurred background? I paint with oils. Well, let's get blurry. Well, there's several ways people go about this. I'll show you my way and you can try it. And if it doesn't work, maybe somebody else has a method. I think this works pretty well. The first thing we consider when we're doing any kind of backgrounds, any kind of painting, in fact, we've got to consider that value relationship. And so I pulled this photo from Pixabay because it had a nice blurred background. So I thought it'd be a really good one to show you. It's kind of a simple approach, and then you can take it from there. So if you look at what's happening here, this is in a very much in shadow area, but it looks like we have a little backlight coming through. But the value difference makes a difference in how that's going to how he's going to interpret. So here's the way my preferred way of doing something like that. So I'll start out, I always like to start out with the dark shapes first, and that shape comes off as very, very dark. And so that's about in this range right here. So I'll just go into the darkest colors. I've got red, orange here, and blue. With actually they're going to desaturate each other, and that looks like it needs to lean. It's pretty saturated. It has a little red, orange, but it doesn't matter. Now the first key is to load the brush so that you can put the paint on. I don't want to say thinly. This doesn't work very well if you use a medium. So just paint. And a brush that's not too stiff. If you're using a real stiff brush, it makes it very tricky to do. In fact, I don't think you can really pull it off easily with a stiff brush. But one that is not too flimsy and yet not too stiff. Now, of course, my favorite brush, one of my big workhorse, in fact, is the Rosemary. What is that number again? 274. It has a nice, it has enough integrity that it bends nicely, but it's still flexible enough that it allows me to control it very, very well. So the kind of brush you use, and just don't overload it with paint. Put just enough paint on the brush. I like to just pull the paint out thinly. You see right on the palette there. And when I say thinly, I'm talking about just the amount of paint. I'm not talking about making it thinner with a medium or something. So the first thing I would do then, I'm just going to just do this. I'll just holding the brush at kind of a 45-degree angle. I'll just put enough paint here, just to cover that canvas, just to cover the canvas, but not thick. Thick, you would just have a real problem if you're trying to do that with thick paint. So let's just get a few shapes going here. So I'm just looking at this big tree here, and that would be something like this. The side of that tree does something like that. It has a little blur on it. So I'll do that and just let's get it a little bit larger so I can get a little bit better interpretation of that. All right, there, just like that. And then the other trees, this one is about that same value, a little small, a little further back. So let's just put something right over about this distance right here. And let's see, I got that little, too much blue there. So let's just get that. So it just makes that one a little thinner. It's a little thinner. It comes pretty much straight down. Just sort of disappears a little bit above that one. And we have a sort of a skinny one on that side, a little bit closer. So I'll just turn the brush this way and just get that sort of little skinny rendition of that tree. Got that a little bit too much blue there too. Okay, got that. Now I made it a little bit fatter than that one, but it doesn't matter. The principle's going to work. So I need to wash out the brush really, really good, which I'll do right here with my Gamsol in the brush washer. And then I need to dry it very, very good. We don't want to thin that paint out. If you have too much solvent in the brush when you wash it, then it's going to thin it. It's not going to work. It's gonna make streaks in there. So I just dry that thoroughly. Be sure that brush is thoroughly dry, and then go for that next value. And that next value seems to be almost about a middle value. I'm gonna go right here of a bluer green, kind of a bluish green. So I'll just reach for my blue and pull it my yellow green right here. I may need to make that a little bit darker. Blue green. Let's see. All right. That's pretty much the right value, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty much the right value. Get that just a little bit more, just a little bit greener in some areas. Okay, so now what I'll do here now, I'll just sort of place that. In fact, I think I'll just sort of scrub that in here. You see what I'm doing there? I load the brush very, very thin, because I don't want, I'm just going to get the edges right there, and like that. I don't want that to be, as I said before, I don't want that paint to be thin, but I want it to cover the canvas. So this is the way, you see what I'm doing there? I'm not moving the brush very much. What I'm doing is I'm working it so that the bristles apply the paint, just a little bit of up and down and kind of at a horizontal level there. And as it comes down there, and I'm going to move it just a little bit closer in here. But if you're very, very careful there, you won't have to worry about getting this mixed with that at this point. So I'll pick up more of that now, and let's do it on this side. Same thing, where I'm just very quick. I'm going to go a little bit quicker now and get that in. If by chance your brush, you need to have enough paint in the brush, by the way, so that the bristles don't splay, but not so much paint in the brush that it goes on thickly. So if the bristles splay, if they happen to pick up a bit of the other color, the best thing to do is to pull that off the brush right then and just keep going. So let's get that in there like that. All right, so now, okay, now here comes the fun part, the blur. So what I'll do first of all is I'll just pull that out of the brush, and what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go between those two, just like this, and I'm going to give it a little, holding the brush a little bit flatter, but with a very light touch, but no paint in it. I'm just going to give that a slight little movement back and forth. You see, like that. Move it up and down, back and forth as I'm coming down like this, and see that begins to blur. We want those colors to blend together now, but we don't want to lose the darkness of the tree, and we don't want to lose the lightness of the background. So now I pull the brush, I pull that off the brush like this, and I'll do that between on the other side. It begins to do what that's doing. Oh, I need to do this here. So this time, I'm just going to kind of hold the brush, see, slightly tilted. Let me get this, pull it a little bit back. I'm just going to hold the brush slightly tilted here and let the bristles of the brush move back and forth like that, to just get that blend started. It went over a little bit too much there. I don't want that, so I'll just pull that away and just get that blend started like that, and just move it up and down. But I don't want to pull that paint off, so I'm just, if I hit it too hard, or if I start digging in at this angle, I'll pull the paint off. But as long as if I keep the brush more flatter against the canvas here, I won't pull that paint off. So I'm going to do this, go the sideways movement here too, like that, just a little bit. And then I'll come down this way with it. I'll come down this way with it, and come down this way, and pulling the paint off the brush each time. Do the same thing over here, like this. Okay, now let's come this way. All right, now, you notice that these in the background begin to blend into or they capture the colors of those of the environment around them. So now I'm just gonna give that just to pull that green over again. The brush is, I'm pulling the brush, paint off the brush, and I'm holding it almost parallel, but not quite, but just barely touching, and just pull that green into that, and then give it a vertical, 2 or 3 vertical hits like that. See, it's beginning to blur. Now, the this brush is called. This is made by Rosemary. I've become a real fan of Rosemary. And this is called the Monday Mundy mop, named after the artist Monday, by Rosemary. This is what, a 1 inch. Okay, it's this floppy, really floppy. I think it might be goat hair or something, and it's stiff enough. It's short enough so that it's stiff enough that it has some, you have some control over. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to use the side of that, and I'm just going to go back this way and then down. I'm barely touching, almost a breath. You see what's happening there? That gets all nicely blended. I want to get that, be sure I get more and more of that color. Just pull some of that color into it from the background. There we go, you see, and then come back. So giving it that downward stroke helps to get the brush strokes out of there. Do the same thing here. And you see, okay, so yes, top. Just blend it all the way. Then come back down like that. Just barely touching. You see, you can tell about the brush where I'm touching. I'm not touching with the whole brush, and I'm not pushing. I'm just barely touching it as I come down like that. Now, I don't want to overdo that because I'll start pulling paint away. So I'll do the same thing here. We'll give that down a little bit more, a little bit more. It works better to get it started with the other brush, because otherwise this one has a tendency to want to pull more paint off, and you don't want that. You want just a maximum of paint pulled off there, and then do the same thing here. And this one, okay, that one stays blurred. It doesn't blend as much as this one does into the background, like that. And there we go. You see, now we're getting it blurred, and this pretty much is how I do that. When I need anything blurred, I need edges lost between 2 colors or 2 shapes, then that's how I'll do. That seems to be, I'm going to come this way with it now and get the strokes consistent with the brush. So that's pretty much how I do that. Any kind of soft brush that you have control of, goat hair is a really good material for the soft brushes. If you have those little hotkey brushes, Hake, some of those will work and some won't, because some of them are just too flimsy, too floppy. It just won't work. But that's it. Give that a try, and then you'll know how to blur your backgrounds. Be sure and view all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell, so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip, which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section, and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianneMize.com, where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.